We made it. We made it. A little bit of some backlight. That's okay. We never cared about backlight. Let me invite my guest. Uno momento. Uno momento. Hey, that was easy. All right. So you just joined. Now I am going to invite. See how this goes. All right. Just sent the invite, brother. See if you're able to accept it. Hope everyone is having a great day. I'm starting the day off a little slowly. All right, let's see if my guy can get in. All right, so I just sent the invite. I'm going to try to kill some time as we are getting situated. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm in sunny California. I feel like summer's coming to an end, so I'm just trying to be outside as often as I can. When I do cardio, I do it outside because I prefer that. What's up, bro?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for your patience with the IG Live thing.
Hey, man, first time. I get it.
Yeah.
Real quick, someone asked the question, how can you join the Natty movement? I'm a hand amputee and have my first show in 10 months out in Houston. Dude, you're already a part of the Natty movement. You are already a part of it. And if you want to have a conversation with, I don't know what you want to call me. I'm like the founder of this whole Natty King tournament. But if you want to have a conversation with me to see if we can brainstorm to like better collaborate, feel free to reach out. Just shoot me a DM and we can schedule something very similar to the chat that we're about to have right now.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're doing, man. I really do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me get your name, by the way. I was looking for it on your Instagram account.
Yeah, so my name's Andy Martinek. I'm a producer in New York City. That's what I do full time. I tour and do a lot of things in music, and I happen to be a natural bodybuilder. And so that's why I think we're having this conversation, I suppose. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
Andy.
name.
Well, dude, music, for one, I love music, like hugely. And my ambitions include filmmaking. And one of my
Oh,
favorite
cool. All right.
filmmakers, yeah, big time, big time. In fact, that's actually a bigger passion than bodybuilding is for me, if I'm being completely honest. I found bodybuilding like 2 years ago, but I've loved filmmaking and I've always had my mindset focused on being a great filmmaker. And then I found bodybuilding. I was
Amazing.
like, let's just do both. Let's do filmmaking and bodybuilding and just make a great story out of those two. Um,
But two
so
goes go
yeah,
hand in hand, right? Like, look at all the classic guys. I mean, Arnold, come on.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, when I pitched the entire concept, I say it's like the Schwarzenegger blueprint. He was a bodybuilder
Mm.
first, and then a movie star, and then a politician. We're essentially following the same framework, only we're doing it naturally. So like that's like the twist on it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it, man. It's amazing.
I love it. I love it. So tell me about like how. All right, so your skills as a musician obviously has a lot of value to what it is that we're doing since we're creating a cinematic universe. If we
Hmm.
wanted to point to the MCU as a perfect example, how like they
Hmm.
had multiple films leading up to Avengers Endgame. The
Yeah.
the vision is that the prophecy when it comes to storytelling is that the Natty King must be crowned in order to save the world slash save the universe. This universe has to have a Natty King existing, and he has to be crowned. That's the storyline, right?
Okay.
Keeping that in mind, we want to be able to tell this story with like compelling music, and it can be presented in the form of a posing routine, or it can be presented in the form of like if it's just a person's theme music. Like every time that you see this particular person on camera, we're hearing notes that leads into that posing routine that you see at the actual competition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's quite like I don't want to say a standard thing to do, but yeah, you find that a lot in like film, right? Like there's a theme for a particular character, or yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then obviously, subsequent music for opposing routine or
Right.
whatever.
Right. So I've
Yeah.
been looking at I've been listening to some of your stuff, not looking, but I guess
Okay. All right. Cool.
and I definitely like some moments like stick out at me as like, okay, I can see where I would want to work with you on.
Mm,
So like let's just start with my character and we can kind of expand from there. Briefly, I'll mention that right now the current focus is on a cinematic docuseries called The Natty King that's intended to go into production in 2028. We're eyeing Netflix for this show to appear on, right? It's going to
okay.
be a total of 30 natural bodybuilders, all with different stories, different personas, different backgrounds, different rivalries, and different personas. And that's an opportunity to like kind of build music around each athlete differently. And I'll give you some of the archetypes that I've already cast. My name is Shaun Fury. I'm the solution. And when I say the solution, I am the solution to the issue that's occurring within the sport and the fitness industry, where people are starting to put an overemphasis on steroid usage as the only means to achieving good results with their physique. So that's what my character like. I am the solution to this problem. Then you've got my training partner. He goes, well, I've given him the nickname of the prototype, where he's like the first athlete on the team. He's the one who is kind of leading the way for all the other athletes because this is all very new. Then you've got the professor, who's like a genetic freak of nature. You've got the merc. You've got the artist. You've got the warrior, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as I'm
Mm,
saying these titles, what I hope for to come to mind are like different notes, different themes, different ways of like creating music around that person. So yeah, let's dial it back to me. Shaun Fury, the solution. Maybe we can start off with like, what does that sound like to you, just abstractly?
well, like sonically speaking, or like definition wise.
Honestly, I would like both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a powerful name. I think it deserves uh, at least like a big synth sound of some kind, or like a big horn sound combined with that. Like It's a very cinematic. Taiko drums are a big part of definitely the Marvel world. Like all those films, they're all using Taiko drum plugins, or in their case, they have the funding to actually have like a real ensemble to record all that stuff. But so much of it can be done like in a DAW or uh, digital audio workstation, we call it. Most TV shows are done that way. Anyway, kind of getting off the topic here, but I think like a big sound, you'd want like a big epic sound for that, in my opinion. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. How do you feel about Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, he's the goat, man.
Nice. Okay.
He's
All
the
right.
reason movies sound the way they do now, I think. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like I said, Christopher Nolan's like my favorite filmmaker, and I
Oh,
am
me
not.
too, man.
Yeah.
He can do
Oh,
no wrong. Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I am not shy from staking my claim and saying I'm going to compete against him as a filmmaker, and I'm not shy about it at all. Like when I think about Mount Rushmores, I'm looking to put myself next to my favorite contemporaries, and Christopher
Okay, so
Nolan
you're
is
very
one
serious about filmmaking. This is something you
incredibly.
really want to do for real, for real.
Ooh, incredibly. I want greatest of all time. And
Nice.
one thing I want to clarify to you is like, I only want to be the greatest of all time in the stuff that I'm passionate about. And the stuff that
Mm.
I'm passionate about is bodybuilding and storytelling.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. And filmmaking is a derivative of storytelling.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a big opportunity, like in bodybuilding, especially. Well, I should say, how about I say this? I feel like there's a missed opportunity in bodybuilding in general to make it a more entertaining sport in the sense. I think a lot of guys get up there. and they've dialed in their physique and they look great, but maybe the posing isn't so interesting, or it's just kind of a throwaway thing. And if you look at like the classic bodybuilders like Frank Zane, Arnold, like those guys could pose, man. And they were at like, they were at the Guggenheim in New York City posing for like an exhibition. It was like a very entertaining thing to go watch, I think. And I feel like it's kind of lost that artistic sensibility in a way.
I couldn't agree more. It's actually I'm even starting to have conversations with the enhanced side of the sport where I'm not even coaxing them to this answer, but even they are starting to acknowledge that bodybuilding is kind of hitting a cap. Like so far as where is it supposed to go from here? There's not like it's kind of reached its limit so far as like the
Mm,
natural progression of using steroids to like get as big as possible and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just
yeah.
it doesn't really go much further than that, which is why I am very adamantly proposing a reboot to the sport and taking it back to the basics. If we focus on the success of the golden era and that success being basically demonstrated by focusing on characters, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, Frank Zane, Serge Nubret, Robbie Robinson, and having these big names and building stories around these athletes, that's where I would want to lead this reboot towards. Only this time it's natural athletes as opposed to steroids.
Man, I'm all in, dude. It sounds awesome.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, people call it pumping iron too. To me, this is better because it's a cinematic universe, so it doesn't just
Hmm.
have to be a docu series. It can be a
I was
docu-series.
gonna say a
Yeah,
pumping iron. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, it essentially is pumping iron. Like I said, we're using the same Schwarzenegger blueprint. He was a bodybuilder who made a documentary about his bodybuilding career. We're doing the same thing here. The only difference is I believe in ensemble pieces. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, that style of
Mm,
storytelling, where there's no clear, defined main character. There's no clearly defined protagonist. We might have multiple protagonists, all with different purposes, different priorities, different goals, and the
mm,
audience is just kind of watching to see like how's this all going to shake up. Like I like this guy, but this guy's super ambitious, and this guy's super smart, and this guy's physique is incredible. Like who's gonna win out of all these things?
yeah.
Conceptually speaking, I would want to present all 30 athletes as like any one of them could win. And if we can tell the story correctly, then the audience is going to be all for any one of these athletes winning. Like we don't want to have a guy who's like that guy shouldn't win because we're not telling the story correctly.
Yeah, so there's no villain in a sense. It's everyone's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The way I'm pitching it, greatest 30-man team in the history of sports and entertainment. And
Amazing, man.
as you continue to work with me, like I talk very big. Someone made the comment that I see what's going on here. This guy's juiced up on self belief. I have the biggest self belief out of like probably anyone on the planet. Like that's how I work. I work with the experiment that I'm doing within my career is to see how far can maximum amounts of self belief get me in the various passions that I've chosen: bodybuilding, storytelling, filmmaking, the whole nine yards, and politics.
In politics, okay. All
One
right.
hundred percent, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
Going great. So, I mean, from a technical standpoint, um, are you aiming at like one particular show that all these guys would be participating in?
Mm-hmm. So the show is called the King of Naturals Tournament. Basically, at that show, we will be crowning the Natty King. That title comes with a $1 million cash prize. Um, Essentially, it's going to be the biggest tournament in the sport of bodybuilding ever due to the cash prize and the way that the show was presented, leading up to all 30
Mm,
athletes have the potential to win this thing. That's how we have to structure this entire storyline. Over the next 2 years, I will still be casting that roster of 30 athletes, and I want to do it in a very slow pace so that more and more of the natural bodybuilding circuit becomes aware that I am casting this. So that by the time we get into 2027 and we're at the very end, we have like the final five athletes being cast. Everyone should know, and it should feel like a feeding frenzy to get on this spot, to have the physique, to have the story ready, so that when they speak to me, they've had 2 or 3 years of understanding what the vision's supposed to look like, and they know
Mm.
exactly how to present this pitch to me, so I can see where I can insert them into the story.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And do you already have like the application sorted out and all of that?
Not really. The way I've been casting athletes, it's been through this Instagram Live. So we currently
Okay.
have a total of 8 athletes. I've been casting since basically the beginning of this year, and either I reach out to them or they reach out to me.
Hmm.
Regardless, I schedule an Instagram Live interview with anyone who reaches out to me currently. It might get to a point where I don't know if like 1,000 people are reaching out next year. It's unlikely I'll be able to speak to 1,000 athletes next year, but
Hmm.
currently I can control the pace. With that being said, the way that I make my decisions is I listen to the person, I assess their physique. Every athlete needs to have a great physique. That's like you can't really get on the roster if you don't have a great physique. Beyond that, then I'm asking questions. Okay, tell me your story. Tell me your why. Why did you choose to stay natural? Why? How do you feel about steroids? How do you feel about the fact that natural bodybuilding has been marginalized within the sport for decades and decades? The minute that steroids hit the market, natural bodybuilding became inconsequential. And just asking questions like that, based off of their responses, I'm able to kind of tailor a story that's specific to them, and then I offer them a spot on the roster. And the cool thing, like what I'm most excited about with this entire cinematic universe, is that we're building a story around 30 athletes, but we can have other natural bodybuilders who aren't on the roster and still be a part of the story because
Mm.
it's an ensemble piece. In the same way that I'm talking to you, you make composition and you're a natural bodybuilder. So automatically, in
Mm.
the event that we end up working together beyond this conversation, you become a part of the narrative, and that applies to like any person who like decides to be a natural athlete.
Interesting, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a great concept for a show and for, I mean, it could bring a lot of attention to the sport, which I think would be a beautiful thing. Yeah.
I very much agree. I very much agree. So keeping that in mind, I want to ask you this question: if we're aiming to create essentially theme songs, since I look at WWE as a great frame of reference for how they build their WWE superstars, like you've
Hmm.
got like The Rock, and actually the perfect example is Stone Cold Steve Austin, where whenever he's about to come on stage, you hear breaking glass, and it's like, oh, the
He's got the
rattlesnake.
theme, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So keeping that in mind, I see like one of two things happening. Let's say we were to go forward and we cast the 30 athletes. Does each athlete get their own specific theme music, and do they have to pose to that theme music every single time they pose? Or is there something else that we can do? Maybe there's just like an overall Natty King theme song, and then the athletes get to like kind of work and progress and make their own changes as they continue to evolve within the sport. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a lot of layers to peel back there. First, I would imagine, like any good show or docuseries, there's going to be some kind of theme music or intro. Um, and I'm sure you're familiar, like in the TV world, in that industry, there are like production houses that make like the intro for the show, and then there's someone who scores the music for that. So, first step, I think it would be advantageous to have like a theme for the show or a theme for the series if it's going to be on Netflix, right? Um, and then, yeah, I think for each specific character, you could have like a lot of times in film, there will be like 4 or 5 notes that cues a certain character on or a sound, or as you're talking about, like Stone Cold Steve Austin has the Breaking Glass and then his theme song. Um, uh, so many movies that have like a villain, there's like a certain sound or a song that comes on. I know you're not trying to book villains, but just as an example. Uh, so I think with the posing side of things, I guess I'd want to know more about like, are you obviously there's going to be this culmination of this big competition at the end. Everyone's going to be posing at the competition. Are you imagining that it will be sort of, and thinking in real time here, are you imagining them unveiling their posing routine at the competition, at the show? Or is it something you'd want to have them working on that you're watching
So
them
here's
work on or developing in
yeah,
the show?
here's how it's currently structured in my head. I'm calling it a cinematic docuseries for the very purpose of. Have you ever seen Truman Show?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay,
With Jim
okay, all right.
Carrey?
Yeah, Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take for a second. Do you know Ed Harris, the guy who actually engineered the entire concept of the Truman Show inside the film? Like he was the guy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's
Hmm.
pretend for a second that the Natty King cinematic docuseries is my baby, and I'm the Ed Harris role in the Truman Show. What I would
Hmm.
like to show in the actual season is I want to show the scenes of the athletes interacting with like their community, going to the grocery store. We would be planting actors around the athletes, actors and like real life people to interact with them in order to create the narrative that we want for that specific athlete. And it all kind of ties together towards at the end where we actually have the Natty King gets crowned.
Hmm.
Between that, we will be jumping back to my character who is overseeing the entire construction of this universe. And in those moments, we would actually be able to show interactions with you, who like, let's say you and I are working behind the scenes and like we're working on a specific scene where an athlete gets approached by a little kid at a grocery store and he's saying, "Hey man, I just want to let you know like I really look up to you and I think you're going to be the Natty King." And in that moment we have some music playing that like maybe it's his theme, maybe it's like a note of his theme, maybe it's a hint as to what his posing routine is going to sound like in that moment, but I'll be working with you in that, watching the scene of the kid talking to the athlete, and we'd be working on that music at the same time. Does that make sense?
That does, yeah. I also like that you're kind of breaking down the fourth wall in a sense.
Yes.
Like it's going to be
Yes.
half actors, half real. Like
Yeah, very blurred.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also think it's like I think it's going to help people better understand like politics. That's my intention. I actually want to show what clean politics can look like, and essentially it's like taking the veil back, like peeling back the curtain and showing how these decisions are being made in order to create emotionally resonating moments.
Mm.
So it's like not to go off on a whole tangent, but you remember that moment when Donald Trump survived the assassination earlier this year?
Hmm.
And there's this moment where he's like standing up and his fist is raised and he's got the little blood on his ear.
Hmm.
My intention is to show that moment being constructed in real time before you see the moment in the docuseries.
Mm, I see.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So like constructing these kind of like real life moments in a
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And create a very seamless blend of reality and fiction, understanding that the goal is to create emotional resonance within the audience. So that when the
Hmm.
Natty King does get crowned, there is no like smoke or mirrors. It's just we all understood because we all saw the same thing. We were
Hmm.
all on the same page that like this needed to happen, and the way that this happened was through careful construction.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice, I guess, if I don't know if you watched the interviews with Arnold or well, I read Arnold's autobiography some years ago. This is just reminding me of Pumping Iron because he talks about it in his book about how he was kind of putting on this character, like he wasn't actually that person. And I'm sure it's maybe it's a blend of the two. He's partly that person, but he's not, or um, but when you're watching the movie, you really get this sense of like, oh, this guy's a total jackass, is like a human being.
Yeah.
But it seems like he was intentionally doing that to like bring attention to the industry.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it would have been cool, I guess, if maybe after the movie, should it had been made into a modern day docu-series like this, if they had unveiled like his approach, in the show to say like, well, I think I'm going to behave this way to elicit this response from these people, or to give the impression that he's this kind of person, or it would be cool to do that, I think, if you can find a way to like work it in so that it feels like a part of the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the vision. I don't want to get too far out, but I mean, I like you, and I like your speaking cadence. um, But not to get too
Thanks.
far out, like I've already referenced the cinematic universe that this is supposed to inhabit. The end game is not actually crowning the Natty King. The end game is actually an anime that takes place 20 years in the future after the Natty King gets crowned. So
Okay.
all narrative storytelling, and excuse me for the plane. I like to do this outside just because it's so nice out, but sometimes noise pollution.
The
Um,
lighting's great. You look jacked and yeah, sunny.
it is stunning, and we won't get these times back. So, I mean, I'm glad that this is being recorded, so it's open to the public. And I typically post these on YouTube, so that we
Awesome.
can refer back to it in the event that we need to. Anyway, as I was saying, the entire storyline is driving towards a anime that takes place 20 years in the future. And if we can come up with a overall theme song for the idea of the Natty King, then we will be able to insert that in different ways, whether it's in the anime, in the cinematic docuseries, or in a feature-length film that's focusing on a specific athlete. Maybe he got the biggest pop out of the entire cinematic docuseries, and we really like that
Hmm.
athlete. Maybe he's not even the Natty King. We can still make a film about that person and have it be exclusive to his experience of the prep or life as one of the greatest natural bodybuilders walking.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to your point, I am all for showing that beautiful blend of what is real and what isn't to educate the audience that what is real matters less than how you feel about what's actually happening. Because that's what I
Hmm.
feel is truly missing from politics and from the entertainment industry and from the fitness industry. Is because like right now we're too focused on like, oh, is this person telling the truth? Is this person lying? And it goes into like all the three industries that I just listed. So the goal or the strategy is to show that like I'm not lying at all. Like I'm telling you the truth. This is being carefully constructed to create a feeling within the audience that the Natty King needed to be crowned. This needed to happen. And however I drive that narrative, I'm completely transparent about it. And by the time that it happens, we will all be on the same page as to understanding why and how.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is ambitious, man. I like it.
Oh, I'm crazy ambitious. Potentially the most ambitious person on the planet, but I don't make a big deal out of it. Um, so yeah, so what do you think? What do you think next steps are? I'm currently working on posing. I've never done classic physique. I did two men's physique competitions last year, and I didn't really get much satisfaction out of it. I don't really like men's physique. So my
Hmm.
intention is I'm cutting right now. I just started posing practice. Like I'm coaching. I'm self coaching myself. I'm just kind of getting into like the the nature of posing after working out.
Hmm.
So like the timing of this is pretty great because right after this, I'm going to be talking to another. Oh, his name's Yoshi. I'd really like to
Oh,
connect you
cool.
to. Do you know Yoshi?
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome. No, no, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. I'll connect you to because he's incredibly
Please.
passionate about posing, and he's doing a thing right now where he's posing every day. I'm picking like a different song to pose to, and he's basically freestyling.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I'm looking to highlight. Like individuals
Hmm.
like that who are, like I said, rebooting the nature or like the sport of bodybuilding and bringing it back to the basics, which is like
Hmm.
focusing on the art and the craft. It's not just reps in the gym. There's also some artistry to the entire movement of being a natural bodybuilder that has been overlooked.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I think there's a certain degree of, you know, call it pageantry, call it whatever you want when it comes to like the sport itself, like what you're doing up there. Um, and I've definitely found that a lot of the times I'm watching a routine and it's just like kind of like a static beat or like a static thing. And, I guess it works okay, but like any piece of art or music or film, there has to be like a beginning, a middle, and an end. So if you can create like an arc and have music that collides nicely with what you're doing, like maybe you hit like a front double bicep and there's like a huge bass drum smash or like there's a crescendo into it, and you can create those moments in the music. I think that probably adds a lot to the choreography itself or the posing routine.
I agree Let me ask you this question, because I'm going to be experimenting with posing for the entirety of my bodybuilding career. I will be actively competing for at least 10 years, if not my entire life. Like, conceptually speaking, I could compete until I'm dead because that's the beauty of natural bodybuilding. But for
It's
these
amazing
first,
like that.
it's so cool. I think it's the ultimate sport for longevity. I think it beats golfing, personally.
Oh, I
Um,
would think so. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because if you think about it, like I know natural bodybuilders who are competing at the highest level in their 60s.
Yeah.
And I mean
Totally.
like competing at the highest level in their 60s, which is to suggest that when they're in their 70s, maybe they're not competing at the highest level. Maybe they're competing a step down from the highest level in their 70s, which is like incredibly exciting.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, even aside from just like the lifestyle benefits, like the health benefits of, I mean, I guess, in technicality, it's probably not the healthiest thing to whittle yourself down to 5% body fat.
So I actually want to
You
play
don't want
with
to
that
stay
though.
there.
I want to play with that, Andy. And again, like I'm calling it a reboot, and I'm very serious about a reboot to the sport and the fitness industry. If you think about the golden era, they were not cutting themselves down to 5% body fat. Arnold
That's
Schwarzenegger was
true.
not cutting himself down to 5% body fat. Frank Zane was typically the most conditioned person on stage, so that's just
Hmm.
something to keep in mind. And Frank Zane was losing against Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair thing to, so you're like reassessing leanness, the
I'm
look
changing everything.
overall.
Like we do
Okay.
not have to stick with anything that we don't like about the current way that the sport is being judged, constructed, organized. We don't have to stick with anything. Anything that we don't
Hmm.
like, you and I and the people that I work with, we can just dump it. This is
Well,
an
yeah, I mean,
entirely
I
new
guess
promotion.
I'm sure you're probably well aware, like the expectation of conditioning has changed so much in probably 15 years even.
I
Uh,
agree.
yeah, I mean, it would be, I guess, healthier for longevity if that wasn't the case necessarily.
Yeah. So the trick is, when the Natty King gets crowned, my really like my biggest goal is to create a feeling of unanimity. I want a unanimous decision, and I want that unanimous decision to be felt across all of the judges, the audience, and maybe even the athletes. When the Natty
Mm,
King gets crowned, we're all thinking like, "Oh, it should have gone to that guy." And when it happens,
mm,
it's like, "Yep, yep, yeah." I was thinking it was that guy, and like maybe he's the most conditioned, maybe he's got the best shape, maybe he's got the best size, maybe he's got the best of all three. But when it happens, we all understand why, and then we can place less of an emphasis on a specific aspect like conditioning or mass. Personally, my money is on shape. That's my
mm,
money, like, because when you think about mainstream appeal, I think that putting an emphasis on shape will create the best physique that appeals to mainstream audiences. That's just where my money's on, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does go to the guy with like the most mass. I highly doubt it, but it could, and I'm
mm,
open to that. But like I said, I am looking to educate the audiences so that we can get on the same page as to like who should be winning, and we're
mm,
not putting an emphasis on like extreme levels of conditioning.
mm. Yeah. Well, I think bringing it back to the music side of it, just uh, this is my thought while you're saying this.
Of course,
Uh, each individual person having their own shape and personality, physical shape, I mean, and personality. I think there's a lot of space there to use music as a way to emphasize those things. You know, using music as a way to show someone's personality. Like you don't have to change them as people. Honestly, obviously you can just base the music on what their preferences or the things they like or their style of communication with people or what they're into aesthetically.
absolutely, absolutely. So as I continue to refine my posing, I actually kind of want to take it through different stages, and if we're really recreating the success of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the various moments of his career, I think it would be kind of cool to pay homage to his style of posing routine as I first start um, presenting my own posing routine. And if we
Mm,
think about like his movements, he was always standing, and he was very like boom, 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 like he just kind of went through certain moves in a very specific way with like a
Hmm.
punctuation point. Like there's always a punctuation mark whenever Arnold Schwarzenegger would hit like a new pose, then he'd switch into another one and then hold it. Um, so keeping that in mind, that's not going to be like the final presentation of my routine as to who I am. But I think it would serve as a great foundation to introduce myself and the world to this rebooted version of the sport, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of start there and see where it unfolds. You're
Yeah,
saying?
watch it
Yeah.
evolve from that. But use the greats of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane being another person. He does a lot of static holds in his posing
Hmm.
routine, where like
Definitely.
he'll hit a pose and hold it for I don't know 5, 6, maybe 7 seconds before transitioning into another pose. I definitely want to borrow aspects of that again in like the initial stages of this whole thing, but by the end of it, I would like to create a presentation that is incredibly free flowing. I don't know if I'm sold on what's the choreographed posing routines, and I do
Mm.
want to get your insight as to how we can work with like, does a posing routine need to be choreographed in order to create music to it? You know, stuff like that.
Hmm. Well, I can say from like the technical aspect of it, I've done some scoring for like TV shows and things like that. There's usually like some blocking. So in a really specific scenario like that, where there's like a punch that happens or something, you know, it's all blocked out. It's timed. It's very specific. But you're mapping it to like a pre-made piece of film already.
Hmm.
In a situation like this, I think it's it can be case by case. I think a lot of athletes like to have something specifically choreographed, or
Hmm.
that's been my experience of it so far, uh, which is great. In that case, in my workflow, it's good to just send like a click track that has like a tempo to it, and then you do the routine to whatever tempo you like, and then I can score the music to that if it's going to be like a really set thing. But if you want something more free form that has like an arc to it over a certain period of time, that's also possible too. I think it's a matter of communicating and discussing it and being clear about like what needs to happen and how I can facilitate that.
I think we should start there, man. Um, what I would like to work with you on specifically is two concepts. Obviously, you and I both agree that the Natty King itself needs its own theme music.
Hmm.
And like we find it and we can use that for all future content within the cinematic universe. Like the Avengers has their own theme music, Iron Man's got his own theme music, Thor's got his own theme music, yada, it like goes on and on and on. um,
Hmm.
the type of sound that's like coming to my mind, I'm very into Game of Thrones when it comes to, like I said, the ensemble of Game of Thrones, the way that they were able to present multiple characters and like not really identify any of them as being like the specific main character.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm thinking of like a Game of Thrones type vibe for the actual theme song for the product.
Okay.
Um, what thoughts come to mind with that concept?
Well, yeah, I mean, the music in Game of Thrones is quite cinematic. That's a word that keeps coming up, which I think is great. Um, yeah, you would probably be looking at more like orchestral sounding material.
Yes,
Again,
yes,
big taiko drums, big
yes.
concert bass drums.
Love it.
I think I'm trying to remember back on Game of Thrones what a lot of the theme music is. I think a lot of it is like string arrangements,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable doing,
Okay,
um, using string libraries or things like that.
okay.
Um, I don't know if there's a lot of. I don't think there's a whole lot of synth sounds in that. But if you have like examples of things that you really like, that's helpful. If you
Okay.
can send things over or let me know
Yeah.
what you have in mind.
I'll start with
That's always
sending
helpful to have
over.
like the more I have something to aim at, the more I can recreate it.
Absolutely. I will start with sending over the actual Game of Thrones theme song. But like it's basically like the dun 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 dun. Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, I've actually played it before. I've had it like I've played private events where people requested that. Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
I mean,
Around New York.
it's good. We'll find something. And then the second thing, which would be separate, would be like finding my own specific theme song, like Shaun Fury, the Solution. And just
Hmm.
to give you like a bit of backstory about what the trajectory of this character is supposed to look like, this is like the very basis for the theme song. I know you're probably familiar with Tony Stark and Iron Man, right?
Of course,
Uh,
yeah.
okay, so you've got the solution, and like the character is this charismatic genius who believes in the potential of the human spirit and is looking to like show this. He's looking to display the human spirit embodied in perhaps one person, but also embodied across all of humanity. Like we want to capture the human spirit. With that being said, the way that I see in character the the way that I see my character as a solution presenting the human spirit and like the actualization of it in posing form, it's supposed to, by the time that we're getting to like the anime that's set place 20 years in the future, I want to incorporate levitation into it and imply that this posing routine that you see in 2025 is leading towards this same person levitating within his posing routine 20 years in the future. And we want the music to match that's going to happen 20 years from now. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think I would need it fleshed out a little bit more
Sure.
over
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot to grasp in one sitting. The idea, I think, what you're saying about this, like a sort of mystical evolution of this particular individual.
Mystical evolution is well worded. Correct. A mystical evolution. And obviously I would want to settle on a theme song because like we don't all the best characters in fiction, they don't swap theme songs. You know, like they get a theme
Mhm.
song and that's their theme song. So I would like to work with you to see if we can find a theme song that fits the entire evolution of the character. So it's like
Mhm.
year one, it looks like this. It's still the same theme song. 20 years in the future, it's still the same theme song, only he's doing way cooler shit, you know? And the shit that he's doing
Yeah.
year one is still pretty cool. It's just like 20 years in the future, he's like literally solving world peace.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty common, I don't want to say common, that's like a bit disparaging, but I think that's a good technique that's used in film a lot of the time. Like if there's, you see a character who's 5 years old and he's supposed to be the protagonist, you might hear like his theme, but played on a flute. And then when he's an adult, it might be played on like a massive sounding synthesizer or
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
still have the same notes, but it becomes like you shape it differently. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that was very well articulated. And that's exactly what I'm looking to accomplish.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So what do you think? What do you think the next steps are? Start sending you some reference.
Yeah, send me some references. I think it would be, we've been talking about a lot of things. It might be good to delineate what we're aiming at the exact moment. Like
Okay.
whether, think about it. Are you looking for posing music for your competition coming up? Are you looking for this theme song for the show? Are you looking for a theme song for Shaun Fury? There's a lot to pick apart there, I think,
Okay.
and
I
think
like
about.
it. Of those three things, I think.
Or if there's more that you think of that you
No,
wanna.
no, I like those three. Hmm. Okay, some stuff to think about. What's calling to me right now is the Natty King theme song. That's what's I feel like we should hammer in before the other stuff. But that's just what I'm thinking right now.
Cool, man. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Cool, cool. And you said that
All
you're in
right.
New York?
Yeah, I'm based out of New York City. Yeah.
Okay, this is good to know. I travel to the East Coast, so once we actually do have a budget for travel, I really want to work in person with the people that I'm bringing into this project.
Cool,
It just
man.
makes for like I don't know. I just like in person. You know,
Yeah, it's cooler that way. Where are you based out of?
LA.
LA. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So cool, man. All right. Well, I think we covered anything. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think yet. I will, but we covered a lot here. I think it was nice to talk with you, and I appreciate you bringing me on here.
Absolutely, bro. I'm excited, and like I said, I love music, and as a storyteller, I see the tremendous value that music has when it comes to telling really great stories. So this conversation was destined to happen.
Great, man. Yeah, well, music is obviously the thing that I'm doing with my life, so I love it too.
Love it, love it. Okay, all right. Well, let's keep chatting. Yeah, man, this was great.
Yeah, great to talk with you, man. We'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, later, bro.